Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Early Care Connection. I'm Izzy Greenberg. Today, we have Ava Bermudez Zimmerman, who's typically one of our kind of experts from the Child Care for Connecticut's Future campaign, standing in as a Spanish interpreter. Sandra is out of town this week, so thank you, Ava. It's wonderful to have such a multi-talented group here, and we so appreciate you standing in for interpretation. So let's all remember to speak slowly enough for her to do this, since it's not her typical job, but I know we're in capable hands. Okay, so we today have a really interesting program. I just first want to remind folks to use the chat for communication between the community, or if you're having technical difficulties, and to use the Q&A for questions for any of our panelists. All right, so this morning we are going to have Comptroller Sean Scanlon on, and he'll be on in just a little while. We've also got Lisa Kidder, who is the Program Marketing and Outreach Manager, and Jessica Muirhead, Executive Director from the MyCT Savings Program. And they are going to walk us through this program and help us understand it. And so I'm just going to turn it over. Lisa's going to share her screen. We unfortunately don't have this PowerPoint in Spanish. And so I think even more important to turn on those captions. Actually, we've got the comptroller here now. So let's actually start right there. Comptroller Scanlon, thank you so much for joining this morning. Welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce this program, and then we'll pass it on to program staff.
Well, thank you, Izzy. Good morning, and good morning, everybody. Hi, Eva. Happy to be here this morning with Jess and Lisa from my office to talk to you for a few minutes about MyCT Savings. So first of all, I'm Sean Scanlon. I'm the State Comptroller of Connecticut. That's one of 6 statewide constitutional officers in our state. I'm essentially the Chief Financial Officer of Connecticut. And one of the programs that my office runs is something that's deeply important to me called MyCT Savings, which is Connecticut's very first ever retirement program that my office runs that helps small businesses and nonprofits save for retirement at no cost to the business. And this is particularly important to me because I was raised by a single mom, and my mom ran a small business. She never had any sort of retirement plan whatsoever. Every dollar that she ever earned went to keeping the lights on in the business and keeping food on our table. And my mom is now in her mid-70s and working 9 to 5 every day because she can't afford to retire and live just on Social Security. And that is a story that is very common throughout the entire country and certainly throughout Connecticut. But what we're trying to do to stop that from being the cycle that other families have to experience is MyCT Savings. So half of the employers in Connecticut don't offer retirement plans to their employees. In most cases, it's like my mom. It's not that they don't want to, but they can't afford to. And so what MyCT Savings does is allows people to offer a plan to their employees at no cost to them to try to break the cycle of this retirement gap in our state. And when I took office, we had about 800 businesses that were signed up, 8,000 employees. As of today, a year later, we have 25,000 employees enrolled and 6,300 businesses. And my team and I are working on this thing every single day because it's really personal to me. It's really, really important to me because I've seen firsthand what happens when somebody works their butt off their whole life and then just can't afford to retire. And frankly, I just think that that's not what Connecticut and this country should be all about. Nobody is working harder than people in early childhood education, and no mission is more important than serving the young people of our state. And I feel so lucky every day to be able to drop my 2 kids off at a great place. But I know that the people that are working there are struggling with their own cost of living, with the fact that they maybe don't have a retirement plan, maybe don't have the best health insurance. And so everything I'm trying to do in my job as comptroller is to help people like you do your job and do what you want to do, which is serving young kids and making sure that you're there for this incredibly important job. So MyCT Savings, again, is one way that you can help your employees, if you are an employer, And it's very, very easy. Lisa and Jess will talk about how you can actually do it. But I'm really just here today to say thank you for what you do every day. And I hope that programs like this are helpful to you in focusing on what you want to do without having to worry about the other things that go along with it. And so for me, I just am appreciative of the time today to hop on here real quick and say hello, tell you why this matters so much to us and our team, and why we hope that you'll take us up on this this year and sign up and help us help your employees. It really can make a difference. Last thing I'll say is, I have probably been to half, if not more, of the towns in Connecticut, Main Street by Main Street. And I have heard some really incredible stories of young people saving for retirement for the first time in families that are new Americans, and their parents don't even have bank accounts. And they come home and they say, "Mom, I have a savings account." And their parents cry at how happy and proud they are of that. Small business owners who have worked for 30 years, who have never been able to afford retirement, who are now giving that retirement plan to employees of theirs, and so touched and excited to be able to do that. So we're hearing some really cool stuff across the state. I know this program is changing lives, and I'm just really proud to be helping to lead this effort right now with the great help of two amazing women who are really doing all the work on this. I just show up for business walks and eat cupcakes and do cool tours across Connecticut. But Jess, Lily, and Lisa are the ones who are really doing the work day in and day out. They will tell you a little bit about how you can get more involved and how you can enroll. And I just want to say thank you again to Izzy and to Eva and to all of you for taking time on a Monday morning to hear us out. And hopefully, even if a few of you sign up, that's a few more people in Connecticut that aren't going to have to deal with what my mom is dealing with now. And to me, that's worth it. And I hope it's worth it to you. So thank you, Izzy.
Yeah, thank you so much. And listen, I can tell you, my parents had a small business and are in the exact same position, and they're now, would like to retire. It's an impossibility. And I'm going to layer on one more thing that's of concern to this group, which is that often we're looking to our parents to help us with childcare because childcare is so unaffordable. And when we've got parents who can't retire and we can't afford childcare, it really puts an even bigger crunch on those of us with small children. My children are now a little bit older, but I remember that when my children were small. And I think that this is a terrific thing that you're doing. So thank you so much for being here this morning. And I'm going to turn it over to Lisa and Jessica now to tell us all about this program.
Thank you. I'm going to start screen sharing.
Great.
There we go. And Jess, you want to start us off?
I should be happy to. Good morning, everyone. Hello, and thank you to Izzy Greenberg, Meryl Gay, and Ava Bermudez Zimmerman for this opportunity to come and provide an update on the MyCT Savings Program and let you guys know a little bit more about what we're doing with the program now. Lisa,
I know I'm working my way back to the front. Sorry, I had it all the way. There we go.
That's fine. All right, I can wait. All right, so I will start with just giving a little bit of background about this program and what prompted it in Connecticut and in states across the country. So, there is a growing segment of workers in the United States who don't have enough retirement savings or access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. Research shows that access to retirement savings through employment increases savings significantly. And currently, about 50% of Americans don't have access through their workplace to a retirement savings plan. Specifically, research shows that automated savings through one's employer is the most successful way to get people to save for retirement. To address this issue, many states are now introducing what's called auto IRA or state-sponsored retirement programs. Connecticut was the fourth state to launch such a program, and we're taking a leadership role in this policy area. The states and the map shown in shades of red now offer or have passed a law about an auto IRA program. The green and yellow states have legislative proposals or study groups to create an auto IRA or other state-sponsored retirement program for the private sector. And only just the remaining three blue states plus Washington, D.C. have not yet taken activity to address what we call the retirement cliff. Next slide. So the goal of Connecticut's retirement program law is to increase the number of private sector workers who can access retirement savings through their employer. Employers can register for MyCT Savings, or they can choose, if they prefer, to have a private plan on their own. According to the Pew Charitable Trust analysis of the 2021 U.S. Department of Labor filings, in states that had a automated savings program like MyCT Savings, businesses without retirement plans adopted new plans, either the state's plan or the private plan of their choice, at rates in line with or above the national average. And businesses with private plans continue to offer them. So this type of program complements the existing private sector without really competing with it. In fact, seems to tend to boost the adoption of 401k programs. So this indicates that state programs like MyCT Savings are raising awareness of the importance of retirement savings, and which leads to increased adoption of both these private and public sector plans and retirement savings overall for its workforce and residents. So in Connecticut alone, we have more than 550,000 workers that do not have access to an employer-sponsored plan. Nearly 70% of Americans have stated that they're concerned they don't have enough for retirement. And for good reason. We know that Social Security is not enough for most retirees. The average Social Security retirement payment is about $1,800 a month, which, as many folks know, is not really even enough to pay for the rental of a two-bedroom apartment pretty much anywhere in the state at this time. And the national average for a grocery bill for a couple over the age of 60 is about $700 a month. And with gas at, over $3 a gallon, and the cost of housing, that average Social Security payment does not go very far. So, we're concerned about what happens when employees don't have enough money to retire. They often have to work later into their lives. And sometimes that's not always up to them, right? Many people encounter illness or disability as they age. And even though they may be able to or might want to continue working, that choice is taken out of their hands. So without additional retirement savings, a great many number of people will be looking to the state for and social programs for assistance when they could be able to provide for themselves if given the opportunity earlier in their career. According to the Pew Charitable Trust on that point, insufficient retirement savings is estimated, if nothing is done, to increase the U.S. taxpayer burden by over $334 billion between 2021 and 2040 nationally. And just in Connecticut, that is a $6.5 billion shortfall for the future Connecticut taxpayers in our state alone. So it's something that we really need to address, and part of the reason why the MyCT Savings program was created. So sponsored plans like this plan would reduce the taxpayer burden from insufficient savings. And here's just a quick quote from the Pew Charitable Trust. Even small savings or a worker's career could help to offset the effects of this shortfall. For example, if households saved an additional $1,600 or about $1,700 a year, or about $140 a month over a 30-year period, they could erase the retirement savings gap, eliminate the extra taxpayer burden, and help people maintain their lifestyles in retirement. To illustrate that point using the MyCT Savings Retirement Calculator, here's one quick example of the benefits of having employees start to save as soon as possible. About 52% of our savers are under age 40, so they are well on their way to saving for the future. At the standard rate of a 3% payroll contribution, a 30-year-old today making a $50,000 salary could save an additional $294,000 by the full retirement age of 67, or monthly income, an additional monthly income of $1,500 for 25 years. And that's, sort of assuming that their salary never increased. It just stayed at $50,000. So for somebody whose, pay may increase over time, that would be substantially more. At myctsavings.com, you can find this retirement calculator and a variety of other resources, including an extensive frequently asked questions section for employees and employers, as well as some how-to videos on enrollment and payroll processing, which are available on the website. So I encourage you to take a look at our website for the couple of different resources and check it out, or you can contact our offices with questions as well. So I will now pass the baton off to Lisa Kidder, who will tell you a little bit more about the details of the program, and then we will take questions at the end.
Thanks, Jess. So as you know, the comptroller joined us previously. This program is sponsored by the Office of the State Comptroller, and it's designed to be as simple as possible for employers. We know, as Sean said, many employers would like to offer retirement to their employees, but they can't always afford it. But that's why MyCT Savings was designed, first of all, to be free to the business. There are no fees to the business for signing up. We want you to join so that your employees have the opportunity to save. It's simple to facilitate. It goes through your payroll, just a few minutes per your payroll period, and there is no fiduciary responsibility to the business, no employer matching contribution, and no risk. The business is just responsible for, once you sign up, continuing to process your employee's contribution through payroll. And really at its core, the reason the program works is that we're able to link your employee's payroll with a Roth IRA retirement savings account, so that the employees don't ever have to, once it's set, they can just set it and forget it and move forward with their savings. In terms of eligibility, for an employer to participate, they need to have had 5 or more employees as of the 1st of October of last year. At least 5 of those employees must be paid $5,000 or more in taxable wages. And the other key piece is that you don't already offer a retirement plan. For employee eligibility, the employee needs to be 19 years of age or older. It can be a full-time or a part-time employee. They've had to work at your company for up to 120 days, and their work needs to be completed in the state of Connecticut. So during the first launch of the program in the pilot phases, notices were sent out to business based on size, and we did it in staggered waves for the launch period. Going forward now, there's an annual enrollment period, and this summer, the newest eligible businesses will start receiving their notifications to register for MyCT Savings. If you've already received your notices to My CT Savings, I will, that is coming up. So if My CT Savings applies to your business, this is a picture of our website homepage. That's where you start. And you see down at the left, it says register my business. You would click on that link and it would take you to the page to register. And you would use the access code that you received in your notification. Individuals who are self-employed or work for an employer not registered with My CT Savings can enroll as an individual over on the right-hand side in the Savers section. And businesses that already offer a retirement plan and have received a notice from us can certify their exemption on this page as well. It's just underneath the register my business, and it's, sorry, it does not show on this screen. So a couple of basic steps for the employers to register, and you need to take all of these steps in order to be compliant with the law. So first is you go to the online portal and you sign up using your access code. Second, you upload the employee payroll and your employee information into the My CT Savings system so that the employees can make their contributions on the payroll cycle. You can also assign this task to a payroll provider. And on the left side of the screen, you'll see there are a number of companies listed. Those are payroll companies that work with My CT Savings. The only information we need to open the Roth IRA is the same information that you would need to open any bank account. The data is strictly confidential, and all of the accounts are online on the online portal, and they're professionally managed by the bank's contracted administrator, which is Vestwell State Savings and BNY Mellon Advisors. The last thing you do is continue to update your employees' contributions on the pay cycle and update your staff lists as employees join your company or as employees leave your company. You just update that. So the payroll integrations, again, are key. It will help you make your work with My CT Savings easier. And we do have technical assistance for everyone, both employees and employers, if there are any issues there. So from the employee side, here's what it looks like. It is completely voluntary for the employees to sign up. There is an initial 30-day enrollment period, and that during that period of time, My CT Savings will contact your employees, and we will give them the list of options so they can decide what they'd like to do. Their 3 options are to opt out, and only about 20% of those people do opt out. Otherwise, the employees are automatically enrolled. And if they leave it, if they do nothing, they will be set with an IRA account with a 3% payroll contribution in a diversified targeted date fund based on the year of their birth. If they want to customize their plan, they can do that. There are all kinds of resources on the website that can help them choose from a selected number of funds. They can increase the percentage if they would like to. If they're, 3% isn't enough, they want to be more aggressive, they can bump it up. If things are slow, if it's when a job is seasonal, for example, they might knock it down to 1% during the summer, for example, if they work less during the summer. But they have all the choices, and they have support from us through our employee assistance line to help make those decisions if they need to. Also, translation services are available in numerous languages on the website and through the customer service line. So that should make it easier on your employees. And if the program is also portable, so if they leave your employment, they can go to another employer and have the fund there. If that other employer uses or offers My CT Savings, they can continue to maintain it on their own if they'd like. But the account is totally portable, and it belongs to the employee, and it goes with them wherever they go. All right. And if the business already has a plan and you get a notification, you, as I said before, go right to the website, look for certify your exemption, and put in your code. And that should save you time. Again, you can do that on the phone if you prefer to do that. So we want to give you a little bit of brag a little bit about how we're doing right now. Compared to January of 2023, so a little bit over a year ago, we had 876 businesses enrolled. We now have 6,300 businesses enrolled. And because of those 6,300 enrolled businesses, the number of employees who are now able to save for retirement has increased from 6,700 up to a total of 25,000, actually a little over 25,000 accounts where employees are now saving. And the total program assets since 2023 have gone from 1.5 million to, on Friday, it was 19.99 million. So pretty close to 20 million. We should be seeing that anytime this week. And I wanted to let you know too, that most of the businesses, 2/3 of our businesses that are enrolled have 25 or less employees. So we know we're really helping the smallest businesses who would find providing retirement savings the most challenging. And then of those 25,000 enrolled businesses, more than 6,000 of those are enrolled employees, I'm sorry, more than 6,000 of those are saving in their account through more than one employer. We know that in the service business, especially, employees often have multiple jobs. And so we want to make sure that, you know, if you look at the program, some people will say, oh, I don't think my employees can afford to save for that, or I don't think they'll want to. But we find that, you know, in a service business, more employees are actually interested in saving and they're working multiple jobs because they want to prepare for their future. So we're proud of our progress so far. And, you know, we've been visiting people across the state, as we said, as the comptroller said. So as business owners, we also would like you to we ask you to please share this information with other people in your network so that more people can start saving for their future, and that your employees, it may help you as well retain your employees. They'll be happier. They'll feel like you're investing in them by providing this program. So if you think you've seen a notice from us already, but you're not sure that you can find your access code, you can call the customer service line, the 833-811-7435, and they will give you a new access. They will give you your access code over the phone. And if you have not received a notice yet, but you think that you qualify for the program, which means 5 more employees, no retirement plan, and you haven't received a notice from us yet, but you'd like to get started, you can also call that number, get the access code from us, which will take a little bit longer, but we will get you an access code and you can start the process and get your employees on the road to saving for a more secure future. This information is all on our website. So if you don't have to get the number down now, you can look it up on our website. And if you have any further questions, this is the employer customer service line. There is an employee line as well. And you can also visit MyCT Savings. We have videos, we have information. We showed you the enrollment or the retirement savings calculator, which is kind of fun to play with and see what you can, how much you can save for your future. So take a look at all of those things. And also, you know, the Early Care Connection can connect you with our office if you need that. So thank you very much. And we're happy to take your questions.
Great. We do have questions.
All right. You want me to stop screen sharing?
Sure. If we need to go back to that, we can. There's a question based on what the comptroller said at the beginning, which is that 25,000 people have enrolled. If you said any of these things, I'm sorry if I missed it, but we'll just reiterate. How much money has that group of people saved? Is that the 20 million?
Yes, that would be the 20 million collectively saved, correct.
That's great. And then you hope people join, but it's not a mandatory thing to join, right? Just to clarify.
So it is mandatory for employers with 5 or more employees who've been in existence for at least one full during the entire previous calendar year. to join the program and sign up all of their employees, or to provide their own private sector plan. So something like a 401k, a 403b if they're a nonprofit, or something similar along those lines. Simple IRA plan. There's a couple of different qualifying ones. So an employer who has 5 or more employees must do that. For employees, however, they are automatically signed up for the program. However, they can always choose to opt out. So they can opt out or opt back into the program at any time. They can choose whether they want to be in the target date portfolios or another portfolio mix that would be based on their personal risk level. So there's certain investment mixes that are higher or lower risk, depending on what they would prefer. Some more, what you might call a more aggressive portfolio mix versus a more conservative portfolio mix. They can increase or decrease their contribution. So right now, the default that they are enrolled into is 3% of their paycheck. If they want to, they can have that go all the way down to 1%, or they can put it all the way up to technically 100% until they hit the IRA contribution caps. But for the most part, most people stick with the default. And most people tend to stay in the program. We have an opt-out rate within the opt-out window, the first 30-day opt-out window, where nothing happens, no contributions are made, and employees are informed by the program about their options. About 80% choose to stay within the program.
Great. But the employees themselves, there's no penalty or anything. You can just opt out. Right.
Nope, they can just opt out and they can opt back in anytime.
Okay. And so we have a lot of folks who are running a program out of their home. They're the only employee.
Yes.
They probably have, that would be under 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mandate that they enroll for employees because they only have one, but can that one person enroll in this, or is that too small to be included?
Yes. In fact, if you visit our website, under the Savers portion of the website, there is an option for individuals to sign up on their own, typically through a bank deduction rather than a payroll deduction, because of course, many people, when you're the owner operator, you don't pay yourself a paycheck, you just take in your income. So that would be through a bank deduction. But yes, we do have individual sign up. So you can go visit the website and sign up at any time. We offer, basically you can put in how much you'd like to be saving, on periodically per month. I believe the minimum for the auto enrollment is like $5 a month or something. It's pretty low. So if somebody is an owner operator and they're interested in participating in the program to start saving for their retirement through MyCT Savings, they are welcome to go to the website. They can sign up as an individual through a bank deduction.
And just as a curiosity, do you have to be making regular contributions, or is this an account that you can just have open? And let's say you have a little extra money one month, you can put it in there, and then you can skip 8 months if you don't have a little bit of extra money, but that over time you're still building something, or does it have to be a regular contribution?
It does not have to be a regular contribution. So if we do offer regular contributions, which is a good way to sort of set it and forget it, right? Yeah. In order to ensure that you are making consistent contributions. I know that most of my bills are on, auto payment, for me to just review, because otherwise it gets overwhelming to try and remember to write a million checks to different places. So it's just something that we offer, but you do not have to take auto enrollment as an individual.
Someone's asking about linking this to payroll. She sees that participating payroll companies, but many, including Paychex and ADP, are not participating. And so she would have to do it manually after payroll, she believes. Can you just talk a little bit about what that process is like for folks who might be using a company that isn't participating?
Sure. So for folks as we would love, to be clear, we would love to work with ADP and Paychex. However, to date, they have not been interested in linking with us directly as a payroll provider. I can't, speak to them as to why, but they do, I will say they do offer their own retirement plan. So they may simply just be interested in having people participate in their retirement plan rather than facilitating the state's plan. But we have approached them. To date, they're not interested. So for people who have ADP, Paychex, or another payroll provider who doesn't participate as an integrated payroll provider, um, what you can do is basically you will set up the deduction in the paycheck, the withholding in the paycheck through ADP or Paychex, and then you would just provide a very quick report to MyCT Savings directly on the MyCT Savings employer portal. For folks who do this, they've told us that it tends to take about 5 minutes once they have the workflow in place. So the MyCT Savings, we do try and make it as easy and quick as possible in order for employers to manage that. We will take reports that you may be able to print out of Paychex or ADP. You can upload them directly into our systems, and then our systems will kind of automatically read that output for you, and then assign the appropriate amount of withholding to each employee. So we do try and make it as easy as possible. For those of you who may be using a smaller payroll employer whom we may not have spoken with yet, we have spoken with many of the big national ones like Paylocity, Gusto, and others. If you are using a smaller mom and pop type shop or just a local Connecticut-based firm, we do accept calls from those payroll providers if they would like to talk about providing an integration. So if you are speaking with your payroll provider, you do use a more local payroll provider, who feel free to send them our way. We're happy to speak with them, and we're always adding new payroll providers. And we have made links to payroll providers in the past because someone sent them to our office. So if you do use a smaller company that may not be on our list yet, that doesn't mean that they can't be on our list in the future. But I would confirm that, at this time, ADP and Paychex are not interested in providing payroll integration with our program.
Sorry, go ahead. Did you have something to add, Lisa?
Yeah, I was just going to say that we also offer quarterly payroll webinars that are live with our IT group, and there's a Q&A after each of those. So if you are having any problems with payroll, there are resources to help you. Those webinars are also posted on our website after the fact. So if you want to look at one of those websites ahead of time, even before you've enrolled, it might help you understand what your steps will be.
Remind us again the website. I'll type it into the chat for folks.
Sure. It's www.myctsavings.com.
Yeah, great. That's in the chat for people. And I assume that if you have new employees that have just met the 120-day threshold, you just go to that website to begin signing them up?
Yes. So for a company that has already signed up for MyCT Savings, you're already facilitating the program. First of all, thank you for doing that. And secondly, if you have new employees who come in after they meet the 120-day threshold, they should then be signed up for the program as well. That is something that you can do via visiting your employer portal, and then just providing, there's a section of the website for adding or removing employees. So if you have folks who are no longer with you, there's a toggle to kind of turn them off as no longer working at your place of employment, and to add new employees, in which case you would just provide the same basic information about the employee. And then, the same process happens. We reach out to them. They get a 30-day window in which to make a decision about what they'd like to do. Following that 30-day window on your next payroll cycle, we will prompt you 4 days ahead of time via an email to your organization or whoever signed up for the program to that email, saying, it's time to upload, and that person will just appear in that regular email on your payroll cycle.
If you're an employee and your employer offers this, you sign up for it or you sign up on your own, and then you switch jobs. If your new employer doesn't offer it, they're less than 5 people, or I don't know, they do offer it. Is it very simple for an individual to transfer I guess you're not transferring your account, you're really just requesting that your new employer make your contributions to it? Is it a very simple process, or does the employee need to go through something if they change jobs?
Sure, Izzy, I think you cut out there a little bit at the end, but I think I got the gist.
I guess I'm wondering, does the account follow the person to their new jobs? And can you
Yes,
explain
it
what
does.
the process is?
Sure. So the accounts used for this program are individual retirement accounts, specifically Roth IRAs, which are post-tax accounts. So you as the employer don't have to do any calculations as to whether do any pre-tax calculations. These are all post-tax contributions. For the employee, when they leave their current place of business, the account belongs to them and follows them. It never belongs to the state. It never belongs to the employer. The monies contributed are theirs and cannot be taken away from them. The employee can do one of several things. They can simply let this account sit and the investments grow. They can take up a new bank deduction and continue to contribute to the account separately. They could make a rollover into a new account, given that would be a qualified rollover. It's sometimes 401ks and IRAs are not compatible. So they may not be able to roll over if they get a job where they have a 401k or 403b. There's a lot of dependent rules in there that are subject to the IRS. Or if they work for a new employer who also facilitates MyCT Savings, then once they start, they're past their 4 months with their new employer, they get signed up, and then the new monies at their new employer get contributed directly to the same exact account that they already had. So one of the nice things about this program is that the accounts are portable between MyCT Savings employers. And in fact, for folks who have multiple employers at the same time, all of those monies go to a single account rather than to multiple accounts.
And if you then go on to, let's say, become self-employed, you can continue to contribute to it on your own.
That's correct. You would just sign up for bank deductions and then continue your contributions that way.
Right. So we have I can see a lot of folks in the Q&A just wanting to make sure that family childcare, that home-based early educators with one person can contribute. And the answer is that they can, that you'll sign yourself up and you can contribute that way. So you can go right again to myctsavings.com. So, all right. Rhonda's asking, does this account pay interest? And kind of what is that rate of return? And then is there something that you have to do annually to claim this interest on your taxes? Or is this something that you don't have to deal with, until you retire? How does that work?
Sure. So Roth IRA accounts, which are the type of accounts used for this program, the benefit to them is that they are the growth, the interest growth in those accounts are tax-free. So you don't have to claim any of the growth in the Roth IRA account. In fact, when you come to your normal retirement age and start taking withdrawals back out of the account to support your retirement, all of those future monies are not taxed either. So in other types of retirement accounts, your withdrawals are subject to a tax rate as income. For Roth IRA accounts, that it is not. So all of that growth is essentially untaxed. So you don't have to worry about it for the purposes of reporting interest growth. Like any other retirement product, including 401ks, 403bs, traditional IRAs, and other retirement vehicles. This is an investment, so there's no guarantee of results. However, 100 years of investment savings have shown that there are, an average return in the positive of, anywhere between 7 and 10% over the lifetime of the account in terms of investments, and especially for broad-based investments like this one, where we use mostly low-cost passive index funds that reflect the entire market and not individual stocks, which is much more risky. So these are professionally managed by our investment advisors at the Bank of New York Mellon, and then double checked by another investment consultant that we hire independently to as a sort of belts and suspenders to make sure that the returns are what would be expected in the current market and are appropriate to the performance of the market overall.
And so if someone did find themselves in a bind, needed to withdraw any of these funds before retirement, I guess we say penalties, but I suppose it's more like taxes, but what happens? What do you have to pay to withdraw that money before retirement age?
So it depends on what the reason for withdrawal is. So there are what are called qualifying withdrawals, or effectively qualifying emergencies, where withdrawals from your Roth IRA are allowed by the IRS. This is all subject to IRS rules and regulations. We don't control that. But there are qualifying withdrawals in certain kinds of emergencies that would be a tax-free withdrawal out of your retirement account. The contributions are always tax-free withdrawals. So, whatever you put into it, you can withdraw. However, the growth, so the interest, the money that is grown in interest, which over the lifetime of your Roth IRA will be the vast majority of the money in the account, comes less so from your contributions and more from the growth on those contributions over time. Those are taxed without a qualifying withdrawal. I believe at a rate of 10%, but I would have to go and double check that at the IRS website. If you go to the irs.gov and look up Roth IRA qualifying withdrawals, you can see the various reasons that are given that would be considered legitimate. And sometimes there are situations such as COVID-19 where the federal government has said, there basically any withdrawal is a qualified withdrawal. That has since ended, but there have been times in the past where, due to a national emergency, they have allowed the total withdrawal from those accounts for people.
And so the only thing really that you're losing is that you are taxed on the interest you've gained, but you're not losing out on the contribution money that you put in there.
I'm sorry, Izzy, could you repeat that? Your audio is cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's here. I'll turn off my video and we'll see if that's better. That works sometimes. I don't know what the problem is with the Wi-Fi today, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, let's skip on to another question here. What would make an employee ineligible?
So there are a lot of reasons why an employee may be ineligible. There are, certain folks who wouldn't be eligible to open a Roth IRA account. So it's highly dependent. But if they don't pass the sort of like know your customer basically tests that are sort of these federally mandated tests on our side, if we can't match, if their social security number was put in incorrectly, or their tax identification number was put in incorrectly, if it doesn't match their year of birth that the federal government has on record, something like that, that might cause an employee to fail. They also have to be 19 years of age or older. But in terms of the amount of hours worked, both part-time and full-time employees are eligible for this program. So, simply working only 10 hours a week or something like that does not preclude them from participation in this program. So even part-time workers are not just able to participate in this program, but should be automatically signed up by their employer.
Right. Can an employee manually change their contribution, or does the employer have to do that? And if a program closes during the summer, and so there's no paycheck for a few weeks, do contributions just cease because there was no paycheck? And does that create any burden either on the employer or the employee?
Sure. So for manually changing the contributions, yes, the employee, so changing their contribution rate or the portfolio mix that they might want to be invested in, that is all handled directly through the program. The employer has no role in managing the employee's contributions. What happens is if a employee changes their contribution rate, say they start at 3%, they realize they want to save more, they increase that to 5%. The only thing that would be on the employer to do is they will receive a notification from us in our regular reminder to submit payroll reports so that we can, withdraw the funds and distribute them to the accounts. The only thing that they would get is just a notification that, hey, there has been a change. This person went from 3% to 5%. You should change the withholding in the employee's paycheck. For folks who have a payroll integration, this happens automatically. That information, automatically gets communicated to the their payroll provider. But for folks who are doing it manually, you get a notification from us that there's been a change starting 4 days ahead of your payroll cycle so that you have time to change it to something else. I will say, however, changes for employees are pretty infrequent. Most people stick with the defaults. So there's not really, that's not a common occurrence. Say that.
All right, great.
There is a whole section, there is a whole section on the website that's for savers. So they can go in there and look at it as well, and it will help them, walk through those steps.
Great. And who do they call if they want, let's see, to understand the ADP part and all that stuff? This is, I know you described this already, that this is just a manual thing. If they need more kind of tutorial, I guess, on how to do that, how does that work?
They can call the 800 number. It's 1-833-811-7435. That's also on the website. They can call our office and we can help them, track down the help that they need. If they're really struggling, we'll connect them with the payroll, the employer customer service line. And they can look at, they may be even able to get some help from ADP, but they can call us and we'll walk through it and help them navigate that.
Okay. Is an employee charged any fees associated with the funds?
Yes, so we have a hybrid fee structure, which is they're fairly low for a product that is professionally managed. So it is 22 basis points or 0.22% fees on the assets themselves, with the underlying management funds that works out to around, it depends on the funds but that they're invested in. But for the defaults, it's around 0.25% annually on the funds, as well as a once a year flat fee of $26 for the management of the account. So that's just a flat dollar-based fee over the year, plus the 0.25 to 0.26. It's a little higher in certain, so some of the more conservative funds, it's a little bit higher than that. But the fees are fairly low.
And that is on the interest or on the
So
total?
that is on the entirety of the account. So there's a $26 flat fee. That's the fee. But then there for each calendar year. And then the 0.26% fees that support, the vendor who does the program as well as our office. That is on all assets, not just the contributions and not just the interest. It's on all assets in the program.
And that's fairly standard for these types of accounts, isn't it?
It is. It's pretty standard for these types of accounts for a managed fee. So an employee, we often get asked, well, couldn't somebody go and open their own Roth IRA at a bank or with Vanguard or something like that? And the answer is yes. And if an employee would rather do that, they're certainly welcome to. Part of the issue, though, is that people don't tend to do that, and we know that they save much more likely to save through their workplace. And two, if they do that, they need to know what to invest in, because those are not managed products. You can open them and then you're paying very, very low fees. However, those very low fees, you have to actually choose what you want to be invested in. So, which Vanguard mix of index funds you want to be invested in, how they're performing and things like that. And so this is for a professionally managed product. And in terms of professionally managed products, the fees are very low.
Great. Just for clarity, because I've been asked again, the penalty for early withdrawal, you said it's roughly 10% taxes on whatever interest was earned.
So it really depends, and I would recommend people go to the IRS website about this, because we have no penalties on early withdrawal at all. So our program doesn't assess any fees if somebody needs to make an emergency or early withdrawal. However, the IRS determines whether or not the withdrawal is for a qualified reason or not. If it's a qualified reason, there is no penalty. If it is not a qualified reason, then there are penalties associated up to a 10% tax on what's been withdrawn. But I really recommend they go to the IRS website to talk about that.
Great, got it. Got it. Yep. And this is not, for specificity here, this is not for people who only work in childcare. This is if you leave childcare and you go to a different job in a totally different sector. This is really for anyone in the state. And as Barb said, there are other companies that do this. This is the one that's state sponsored and helps small employers to help their employees, right? What is the reason why and I think that the comptroller kind of addressed this, but why did you start this program when there are other products that exist? What did you see the need, or what did he see the need as that wasn't being met? Why does the state need to run a program like this? How is it useful?
Sure. So one of the major reasons we know that, we think we've talked about previously in the presentation that we know that people do not tend to save for retirement unless they save through their paycheck. I think people are, effectively when the original 401ks were opt out opt in instead of opt out, and people saved through their 401ks even through their paychecks at work at about a 20% rate. And when they flipped that to opt out instead of opt in, that went to 80%. So people are just way more likely to save if it's easy and automated and through their workplace. But we also know that most smaller employers, because of the fees to the employer that are associated with many traditional retirement programs, because of the administration involved in traditional retirement programs, such as 401ks, many smaller employers simply can't afford to do it. We have spoken, and Lisa can speak to this, many employers who have said, this is great. I looked into a 401k before and I was laughed out of the room because I can't afford what they want in order to pay for that. So we know many employers want to be able to provide these things to their employees. They just can't afford to do so. And that is the most common reason why employers are not already doing this. So this program was designed in order to provide something for employers to be able to offer that does not come with a cost to the employer, and which encompasses more types of employees than traditionally 401ks and other types of retirement programs aren't always interested in, like part-time employees and things like that. You know, there are some 401ks who are fine with having part-time employees in the program, but there are some who have requirements that they have to work a certain amount of hours in order to participate. So this program was really designed to bring access to retirement savings through smaller employers who we know want to do this and do the right thing. They just weren't able to do it. And so we've taken a lot of those administrative burdens, a lot of the fiduciary duty, and the costs off of the employers through the design of this program.
Okay, that is the last of our questions, and it's a perfect time to wrap up. If there are, I think we've got both the phone number and the website in the chat, so folks can go, you know, look at all of that information. If they need help, is it the phone number that you listed that they call, or is there another number? That's the right one. Okay. Great. I see that that is in the chat again. So perfect, folks. If you you may have something you're already doing, you may have a different product you want to use, but this is an option for you if it's helpful. Having some retirement definitely is useful, and your later self will thank your now self for setting anything aside. I know it can be hard to make contributions. This was, again, with my mom, you know, and we set her up an IRA, a Roth IRA, and she wasn't able to contribute very frequently. But when she had a little bit of extra money, she put it in, and over time it did grow to something, not enough, but to something more than she would have had. So I think that's a good thing. Thank you so much to the folks from ICT Savings for being here today. And we'll be in touch with more questions if we have them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's see, guys. The only thing that we have left remaining is just to do a quick reminder that April 3rd is the Morning Without Childcare. I don't know if folks are following the Childcare for Connecticut's Future campaign, which is the group that AVA works with. And well, Meryl and I also do, but that AVA runs. You can get to their social media. It's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of those at Childcare for CT. You can also go to their website, childcareforct.org. But whatever you do, please spread the word and sign up for the April 3rd rally. Those events are exciting to be a part of, really invigorating, and really good for educating our lawmakers and the rest of our citizens and residents of the state about how important childcare is and how vital this system is to the health of our state, the economy of our state, our future children, our future leaders. So if you can participate, that would be really fantastic. April 3rd, there actually is one on the evening of April 2nd as well, which is going to kick it off. Commissioner Bai will be there, and that one's in Mansfield, I believe. And then the next day, there are 10 rallies across the site, across the state, and you can participate in any of them that you can. So let's see. Ava, I think you wanted to join for 1 second. Let me turn off interpretation so you can also make a quick plug. Okay, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I think everyone can hear me. Por si acaso apagamos la interpretación para poder yo anunciar a todo el mundo y lo digo en español. So déjame decirlo en inglés y después lo digo en español. So just a quick plug to Lisa and Jessica. Thank you again We brought them on today because we're really close to tax season, and a lot of the folks on the call, you have an accountant, you have an expert, but often you don't have the ability to save. So, you're doing all these tax paperworks right now for your business, and you're thinking about, how do you make sure that you're not paying $1 zillion when you're so stressed out because childcare overhead is so hard. But it's always helpful to slow down, take a breath, and remember, what does my future look like? And it's so connected to our advocacy work about what does the future look like, right? Hopefully that future will be brighter, will be more funding, you will be open, you'll be thriving, you'll have employees. So we just always want to be grateful for being able to share the space with you and share the conversation. And I just wanted to say that. So thank you, Izzy. And I'll say it in Spanish. So quería tomar un segundo para agradecer a Lisa y Jessica, porque siempre estamos constantemente pensando de ¿qué es mi futuro? ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Estamos en la temporada de impuestos, ¿verdad? El 13 de abril tenemos que entregar los impuestos, pero tras la vez que paramos, respiramos y pensamos qué es los ahorros que necesitamos. So, quería agradecer a ambas por estar aquí y también pensar sobre el Día de Acción, ¿verdad? ¿Cuál es el futuro? ¿Cómo se ve nuestro futuro? Y parte de ese futuro es abogando para más fondos, para asegurar que tenemos el cuidado que está sosteniendo y tenemos dinero en nuestro bolsillo. So, gracias por dejarnos compartir este espacio y esperamos verte el 3 de abril. Izzy, back to you.
All right, great. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday. All right.
Cuídate, todo el mundo.
And for
Yeah.
those who celebrate Easter, I believe that Good Friday and Easter are this coming weekend, and so I hope that is a wonderful day of community and togetherness for everyone. And I suppose some Easter eggs, lots of happy children. Spring is here. All right, enjoy. Thanks so much. We'll see you
Feliz
next
día de Pascua, verano está aquí o primavera está aquí. Cuídense.
All righty, bye.